Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Terry Miller with Unlucky Trapper Gaming, once again doing Godzilla, God of Destruction mode, with my Space Godzilla playthrough. Last video, I gave a very brief synopsis, and I don't even think you can call it that, about the movie itself. Just talked in very little detail about it. It was a very short video, and I think going forward with this series, because this is my first one, I'm still kind of learning what I actually want to do with this. I think going forward I may make the videos a little longer if I can, as much as I can, with the different monsters, so I can go into more details about the movies, about the kaiju themselves. The gameplay is there for you to watch, but I wanted to kind of make it different than most gameplay videos you see of this game. A lot of them are just the gameplay. I kind of want to give a little detail about the different kaijus and the different movies. I grew up watching Godzilla. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. This is definitely one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Getting a little older, I can see the flaws with the movie, but there's still a whole lot of love for this movie, and a whole lot of love for this kaiju himself. But if you look at concept arts for him and actual names that they were coming up with, he could have been drastically different. This Space Godzilla design, I think, is great. It's a bulkier Godzilla, and actually the design they chose, if you ever played it, and I wish I could get gameplay footage of it up here, because I still have my Super Nintendo, and I still have the game Super Godzilla. After you leveled up Godzilla there, you got a weird power up for him, and Godzilla mutated, and it was actually very similar to this design. And I want to say that came out around 92, 93. It was before Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, but after Godzilla Mothra Battle for the Earth. Because in that game, it was the old Mechagodzilla design, and I think to get people into it, they would have gone with the new Mechagodzilla design had he been there. But that's a different discussion for a different day. But this is the design based off of that Godzilla game and that final form for Godzilla. He's got the huge shoulder spikes, the giant crystals there, which he can make crystals and actually fire them like rockets, which, you know, is cool. As a kid, it was one of the coolest things ever. You can actually do that in this game, and I didn't know you could until afterwards. So it's a spoiler. You're not going to see the actual homing crystals themselves. I may do one level before the end of it where I do all of Space Godzilla's moves, his moveset, which is not big because, again, not a lot of over-the-top moves and stuff for these guys in this game. It really is just a smash game and like a very basic fighting system for it. Not like the PlayStation 2 games, the GameCube games, and the Xbox games. I think it was for Nintendo GameCube, actually. Here's a cool little introduction scene. They do these with some of the monsters, but not every monster, every level. Yeah. I love when they do these, because these are basically straight out of the movies. And I'm not a huge fan of Batra, but I still think those videos there are pretty neat. But back to the kaiju at hand, Space Godzilla. They redid the dorsal fins to make them look very crystal-like. Obviously he has the crystals protruding from the tip of his tail, which he actually does use in the movie to impale Mogera. But all in all, a good design, I think. And then there's the horn on his head, and that was supposed to symbolize his kinetic and telekinetic abilities. But that's where the design for Spacegodzilla came from, was actually the Super Godzilla game. The two, I guess you would call them fangs, towards the base of his mouth were also part of that design. But the design was altered a little bit. As for the names, one of the first names floating around was Crystal Godzilla. I mean, for obvious reasons. Because in essence that's what he is. He's a Crystal Godzilla. Name's not bad, but Spacegodzilla is definitely better. And another name that they floated around was Astro Godzilla. Now, I don't know if that, when they were throwing that around, was a nod to Godzilla versus the Astro monster, which is King Ghidorah himself, which was a space kaiju. But I definitely like Spacegodzilla. It's nice and smooth. I'm getting my butt kicked here. I'm sorry. I'm watching this gameplay, and I'm not doing well against Batra. I didn't do well against Mothra in the last round either. This is going to turn into a beam battle here quickly. Yeah, so those were some of the names floating around for Spacegodzilla. And I did want to mention this too about his design. Godzilla often gets falsely called green, and I think that's part to do with the old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. And if you've never seen that, that's definitely worth a look up, because that old cartoon is really fantastic, and I used to watch that Saturday mornings as a kid. The show was not new at that point. It was very old, but still Godzilla, and I was a kid, and it was a show on Cartoon Network. And so, you know, the show was, I think, almost 20 years old when I started watching it. It did not age well, but it's still fun to watch as a kid. You're watching Godzilla. But they went with a dark blue with very dark shades of purple added in, and I think it gives off like a darker image, and I think it works really well. And of course his belly has some red spots on it. You can't really see it. I wish I'd pan around so you could see the toning, but it's just a very good design. You can see there a little bit. Spacegodzilla's roar, I just found out not too long ago, was actually an edited version of Gigan's roar. And so now if I listen to it, I can hear it, but I never would have heard it had I not known that. Of course, there's more of a Godzilla roar aspect to it as well, mixed in. But the base for Spacegodzilla's roar is actually the old Gigan roar, which is something they did in the Heisei series a lot. Instead of coming up with new roars for the kaijus, they took older roars and modified them a bit. Batra, who I just fought against, is a perfect example of that. If you listen to Batra's roar, it's the old Rodan roar, but it's slightly modified. And then one that I've noticed, and I don't know if they did it as a slight or not, but in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, when they travel back in time to teleport the Godzilla source so that he doesn't get hit with the radiation and become Godzilla, he actually sounds a lot like Gamera. And again, I don't know if they did that as a slight to Gamera, to say, you know, you sound this weak, that we're going to do it as a Godzilla source before he's even Godzilla. But that's where you can hear there's different roars at. But another thing I wanted to mention is watching Godzilla vs. Spacegodzilla not too long ago. There's several scenes during the fight scenes that I just said how well choreographed they were. But he's got those big hulking white crystals on his shoulders. You can actually see the black wires used for the flying and like levitating scenes. So I know Godzilla gets a very bad reputation for that. They even make fun of it in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which actually got them sued by Toho, because there is a scene in that movie where Pee-wee's running through Hollywood and he actually runs across a Godzilla movie, a Godzilla set being made. Or not set, but the Godzilla movie being made. He runs onto the set, and it's King Ghidorah and Godzilla, and they're not even hiding it. It's the actual designed off the suits themselves, and there's just wires and stuff everywhere. But that actually got them sued. Toho filed a lawsuit. They were not happy that Pee-wee's Big Adventure decided to use Godzilla's likeness and King Ghidorah's likeness and kind of crack a joke at him. Now back at the game here, once you destroy so much building, destroy so much of the forces and destroy the buildings, they actually raise the disaster level and give you stronger human opponents. But they use Akira Fube's, and I hope I got his name right, music, and I will be humming it and whistling it for the rest of the day now that I've heard it. And that's something about this game I really enjoyed, was there's several of the original songs that they use. Obviously the Godzilla main theme. This is the military march. And I'm trying to think of the other one they use. I know they use one more. I think it's the Mesa March. But all in all, like I said, this is a Godzilla fans game. You gotta take control of your favorite kaiju. You gotta destroy cities, and you gotta fight other giant kaiju. Well, there's the two-toning, the red stomach and chest I was talking about earlier. I'm glad I panned around so you guys could see that. Alright guys, that'll do it for me in this video. Hope you guys are enjoying these, because I'm having an absolute blast with them. I get to play this game, and I get to talk about Godzilla. Something I do a lot. I annoy a lot of people, but you know, something I'm very passionate about, because I grew up with it as a kid, and I still love it to this day. So I thank you guys for watching. Hit that like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not. Go ahead and leave a comment if you're enjoying this series and you want to see a specific monster from the game. I will be more than happy to do a run through and give details about movies and about the monster themselves. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.